Hey there, all you YouTube mechanics and backyard mechanics. This is Russ with Wrenching with Russ. Today we're going to save you a bunch of money by showing you how to do your own tune-up on a 2018 Jeep Wrangler. So let's get started. Okay, the first thing you want to do is you're going to take the air intake off and get that out of your way. And then the second thing you want to do is you want to move over here and you're going to take the coolant reservoir off. And again, all this just snaps off. They're just quick disconnect lines. And you're going to want to take these loose because you're going to need this extra room on this driver's side to get down in there to be able to disconnect a couple of nuts that are on the side and a couple of screws that hold this plenum on in the back. So here we're disconnecting all the wiring harnesses. And once you get your wiring harnesses disconnected, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take these two bolts out. This is your EGR, and you've got to take it loose, as bad as you don't want to. You got to take the bolts out of it, and you got to take it loose. It mounts to the side of this plenum, and you're going to have to get it out of there. Right here it is in the front. You're going to take your lines loose, and again you're going to take this wiring harness loose, and it snaps into the front of this throttle body. And then once you get it disconnected, what you're going to do is pull all your wiring out of the way. And then there's 7 or 8 bolts on top of this plenum that bolt it down. Locate your bolts, take them out, and then you're going to have to wiggle this thing out of there, but it will come straight out. Now that you got it out, on this upper intake, what you want to do is change out your gaskets. This all comes with that set that we bought. But change out all your gaskets, because once you open this up, you're going to find that probably some of these are flattened out and they won't seal right. Change all your gaskets, and then we put rags down in the top of it so that way we don't drop anything down in it. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to disconnect the wiring harness that go to the coil packs, and they have these little white plastic slide out locks. Take a screwdriver and very carefully, so you don't break them, slide them back until they're fully extended. And then once you get all those back, then you press down on the ends of them and then disconnect the wiring to them. Once you get them all disconnected, just like this, and again we're showing you the push tabs, and ours had been in there a while, so we had to kind of take a screwdriver and give them a little budge. But you might have to do that every once in a while. You just got to be very careful, because the heat from this area will make these very brittle and they're subject to break. So once you get them all unsnapped, we're going to start pulling the coil packs out. And again, that's real easy also. All you do is just remove the bolt that comes with the coil pack, give it a good wiggle, and pull it out of there. And then you want to pull each one of these out. Obviously with this V6 you got 6 of them. So once we get all the coil packs out, as you can see, then we're going to take the spark plugs out. And again, most everybody knows how to take a spark plug out. So once you get the plugs out, examine them, take a look at them, see if there's any kind of oil on them or how they're burning. Make sure everything looks good in each cylinder. Some of these are going to be hard to reach. We had to be creative to get to a few of them. But like any other engineering job in automotive, they don't make it easy for any of us. Now you just reverse the process. You put your new plugs in, and you make sure they're snug. We never use battery operated on those. We always hand tighten them. And then now you put your coil packs in like we're doing now. And again, we use a ratchet on these. We don't over tighten them because it will crack the plastic. It'll break the bolt off, and then you got a whole nother problem on your hands. Okay, now we got the tune-up complete. You got your plugs in, you got your coil packs in. We're going to reverse process and start putting it back together. So one of the first things you got to do is rebolt this EGR back up. You want to do it in the back. You can't do it after the fact. It has to go in first. because your plenum hooks to the side of it, or it actually hooks into the side of your plenum. So you want to make sure that you've got it in place, and just loosely leave the bolts until you get it all in place, and then tighten everything up. And then one of the next things you want to do is you want to make sure that you have this styrofoam piece back in place. It's more for heat absorption. It goes on the driver's side over top your coil packs and your wiring, as you can see. And now you're ready for your plenum. So you want to move everything out of the way, make sure everything is up, make sure all your wiring is visible and somewhere accessible, because you don't want anything underneath this getting pinched or left underneath it. It'll leave a gap, it won't work, because you'll have a airspace in between there. So make sure everything is up above it. And then you're going to have to move it around a little bit and kind of rock it back and forth, but it will drop in place. Once you get it in place, then on this driver's side you want to make sure that your plenum's into the side of it. Go ahead and freehand start your bolts. And then put your bolts back into the plenum, and then start tightening everything down. And again, be real careful. We just barely bump these when we get to the bottom of them because of these plastics, because they will break. And now you got your plenum bolted down. There's two nuts on the side of this that go in a bracket. You want to make sure you put them back on. And once you get everything rebolted up, double check yourself. Make sure everything's tight. Again, on most of this, we usually use a ratchet and just snug everything up just to make sure. Then once you got everything tight, and one of the last things you want to do is rebolt your antifreeze reservoir for your fluid. Just rebolt it back up. And then you're going to make sure that your oil spout to pour your oil in your motor is aimed in the correct direction. Put your cap back on. And then just double check yourself. Make sure all your lines are together. Make sure everything's snapped on. Make sure you don't have anything that was plugged in that's not. And that's what we're doing here. And then once you've double checked all your wiring, make sure everything's plugged in. And that, folks, is how you do it. So like I always say, why pay someone else thousands of dollars when you can do it yourself? And if you found this video helpful, do us a favor and subscribe to the channel and leave us a like. We appreciate it.